Welcome to Business Influencers. Hope everyone is having a great week. We want to welcome those new people here to Business Influencers again through the TALRadio.org website. Again, we are committed each week into bringing guests that bring their words of wisdom and insights to help grow and scale your business to the next level. We also welcome your input by reaching out to us at chris@christophersalem.com. This way we can find out what is really important to you to help drive you and your business forward. And your input allows us to bring in content, contextual content, that will allow us to have guests that are experts in those particular areas to share with you to move you and your business forward. Again, that's chris@christophersalem.com. Today's show is being brought to you today by Alumni Direct. Alumni Direct is a new social media community platform dedicated to bringing alumni together from all different generational types. This is an opportunity to rekindle old relationships that you've had in the past and perhaps meet new people for the first time. It takes all the noise out of social media, so there's no notifications, none of all the drama that you might find in other certain platforms. This is an opportunity to share authentically all types of content that are specific to you and the people that you went to school with. Feel free to check them out at alumnidirect.com. And also it is an affinity-based membership program, so you're eligible to receive services and other types of opportunities that normally you would not have an opportunity to participate in at an individual level. That can be for insurances in your business, personal life, and so forth. Feel free to check them out again at alumnidirect.com. Well, we got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about adjusting your sales. And we have Gabe O'Neill here today, who's going to be sharing his insights into this particular area. Gabe O'Neill, known as the Godfather of digital business card, will share a discussion on why successful entrepreneurs must adjust their sales when they cannot control the direction of the wind. Gabe's most recent journey started in 2015 when he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, with no credit, borrowed money, one contact he met from Twitter. A little bit about Gabe is that he's a software developer for more than 30 years. He has built systems for the likes of Sony, Panasonic, Computer Associates, and so on. In 1993, he was introduced on stage at a conference in DC by Bill Gates as his live demonstrated his software that he and his team built for DEA. In 2004, his dog Charlie started a nonprofit called Wags for Hope, which is a pet therapy group in Maryland. Then in 2006, his daughter, Mary Margaret, started an international nonprofit called Kids Are Heroes, which normalized philanthropy for children. He now lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and his company builds custom digital business cards that return business back to his clients. And without further ado, we welcome Gabe O'Neill to the show. Gabe, how you doing today?
Well, thanks, Chris. That's like deja vu all over again, hearing all that, the history of all that stuff. That's pretty cool. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It is a pleasure to have you. So, I love the title of the show today, Adjust Your Sales. And when you think about adjusting your sales, because when you think about, adapting in our constant changing world with all this uncertainty, especially when it comes to business, it's very important that we are adjusting your sales along the way. Let's talk about what that means in terms of how, when we cannot control the direction of the wind, what are the things that we can, adjust and adapt to make those changes to run our businesses smoothly?
Well, that was actually a quote that I had read right when the pandemic had hit. If according as you read in my bio, I've been climbing the corporate ladder forever, right? And had no worries about finances, no worries about anything till I was well into my 50s. So everything was going great. And then I'd been working for this company for 16 years, and they finally told me that they ran out of money and they couldn't pay me anymore. So that kind of started a series of events that didn't go very well for me, especially since I'd been working basically as a software developer at home, knowing nobody, have no contacts. So it's not like I have a bunch of people knocking at the door to hire me. And plus I'm now in my 50s, right? So I had been doing this all along, but when the But when the pandemic hit, that was just another one of the series of things that hit me, right? And I thought, sometimes you tend to have like, come on, why me? Why is this happening to me and all this other garbage? But if you succumb to that, then you're not going to make it. You have to forget that garbage and just say, okay, you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails. And when I read that quote, that really gave me it infused this energy in me to say, okay, that's really what we got to do. And so because I was networking at that point, I was selling my digital business cards, but I was doing it by networking in Atlanta, 5-10 meetings per week, driving everywhere, all over the place. And in one day everything was shut down. But I discovered when I read that quote, I discovered these online events that were, that kind of led me to, wow, this Zoom thing has got breakout rooms. This is brilliant. I can do that. So it just kind of, trickled into a whole new, it opened up a whole new world for me, basically. And now we're selling our cards all over the country. So yeah, that's something that I really feel strong about. Anytime that something hits me, that's what I do. And the other part of that is, the other lesson that I learned is that, guess what? The getting downsized, moving to Atlanta, having all these things happen that really go against you, and then starting a business, and then, the pandemic hit. Guess what? That's not the end of it. Something else is going to happen, right? But that's the entrepreneurs. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
Is what the entrepreneur has to be good at doing, pivoting. And so now when something happens, I just, instead of reacting to it, I go, okay, well, how do we figure this out? And then we do it. And so that it was actually a strengthening experience, I think, for me.
Yeah. I would say, again, instead of reacting and getting caught up in the stress and the worry, you just find a way. You just kind of know things are going to fall into place. You don't know when, you don't know exactly how, other than just what you know and what you can focus and control and make that, and like in this case, you said, make that shift. And I always find that, Gabe, correct me if for way you look at it, starts up here at how we think.
Absolutely.
And how we look at things, because that determines how we be.
Absolutely. And I was talking with there's a gentleman that's in one of my networking groups. His name is Preston, and he's very much into he's a very successful business guy. His partner is Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Whole Soul and all that. But he's more focused on the health of the person, of the being. In other words, the spiritual health. And, I run a few things by him because I'm not a fan of confrontation. I never have been. And typically when that happens, I had been taking things personally and not sleeping and yada, yada, yada. And so just after talking to him, I just realized that, don't give that person the power to make you feel like that. Yeah. And that's another thing that you can't control. And so, it's so now when that happens to me, it's just like, okay, that's your problem, not my problem. And then I just go move forward. So but you're right. It's everything is up here in the mind. Everything is up here in the mind. And it's how you react to things, how you deal with things. You can deal with it in a negative way that's negative to you easily.
Yeah.
By doing the stuff that I used to do, by getting all freaking out and yelling and screaming and saying, why me and all this. But if you deal with it in a different way, it's really interesting, because the first time that happened, where I had a really bad run in with this dude, and I was upset for days. And then after talking to Preston and after kind of realizing what was going on, I had a similar reaction, or I had a similar run in with somebody else, like 6 months later, or whatever it was, and it didn't affect me, maybe 5 minutes. And then I just said, okay, just go and just wash this out of the way, just get this negativity out of here, and I'm good. So it's that big of a difference, and all that is in your mind and how you address it. So
yeah, that's so true. So true. So what would you advise, like if you're looking at, your average entrepreneur right now? Most entrepreneurs are going to be solopreneurs. They might have a small little team, a lot of small businesses. And right. So what would you advise in this ever changing environment that we are in. We went through COVID. Now there's all, who knows what's around the corner. But nonetheless, we got to keep adapting and keep moving forward, like you said. What would be some of the things that you would advise, what you just shared, for an entrepreneur to adjust their sales in their business to move forward? What would be some other things you can suggest?
Well, the first thing that you have to do is you have to, I believe that if you're just chasing money, then that's typically not going to work out. I mean, if for me, the thankful thing for me is that I'm incredibly passionate about what I do. Mm-hmm. I could, like, I'm a software developer. I can do websites. I can do SEO. I can do all that stuff. That stuff doesn't really interest me. I've decided that I want to build the best digital business card that's out there because I'm that passionate about it. And so every day I live that. And when you live it in passion, then that takes away a lot of the issues. But again, it's just like, if something happens, you have to, first of all, don't let it, don't take it personally. Say, oh, why me? Because that's garbage. Guess what? It's not only happening to you, it's happening to me, it's happening to Chris, it's happening to everybody. Everybody who's an entrepreneur goes through that. And when somebody else, I had a one-on-one with somebody who was griping about why his sales were falling through, and he told me story after story, and I couldn't help but smile because I had all the same experiences. I said, yeah, join the club. This is what happens. So once you accept that, and then you learn to just say, okay, then you step back and say, all right, well, what can I control? Right? What can I control? What can I do to, and that's the other thing that I'm doing, is constantly innovating, coming up with new ideas, coming up with fresh things to try. And also, one of the things that we do have in our group, another thing that really has helped me is that our digital card owners get together as a group, and I have learned so much from them. They say that if you're a solopreneur, you'll only get so far. You need a team behind you, right? And I have learned so much from those folks, and it has actually, and I've implemented some of the ideas that came from what we call power hours, and my average sale has gone up 200% from that. So just learning from others, and again, number one, you got to expect that this crap's going to happen to you, and then so you've got to get good at dodging it. And that's the one thing that I think I've learned.
Wow, I love it. That's some solid advice, and we hope that everybody that's listening or will be listening later on demand, take notes, because this is so important, that when you're learning from experts like Gabe, things that you can now adapt to, your current situation. What would be some of the things, like when we look at adjusting your sales, like what would be some of the things you might suggest in terms of resources, Gabe? I know you're into digital business cards, and and with a solopreneur, and these are people who are going to lack, maybe they don't have the resources to have maybe a certain amount of people to do certain things. So where can resources and systems really, benefit an entrepreneur that has a small business?
Well, I think the number one thing is networking, right? And you and I are part of NRG. There's another one that I'm involved with called M3 Linked. I've gotten a ton of not only support but business out of that group, and also made good friends. I mean, now, it's funny because I used to live by networking in person here in Atlanta. Atlanta is a great networking town. It really is. I have not been to one since the pandemic because there's too much going on virtually, and I can do so much more. I can be so much more efficient. So, I've got friends in Tampa. I've got friends in Los Angeles, Dallas, Houston, all over the place, just because of, just putting myself in as many networking situations as I can. So those resources are available. Some are free, some are pay to play. And again, and once you get, there's a lot of people that are out there that will do virtual assistants. Even myself, I always had a hard time of, I was a chief bottle washer, and I did everything. I created the cards. I did all the coding, I did all this other stuff. But finally, I decided, wait a minute, I thought that a graphic artist would push my prices way too high if I got one, but I discovered that that wasn't necessarily true. So when I offloaded that to the cards, and it was funny, I showed my wife the first one she did, and didn't tell her anything. She goes, "Oh, this is the best one I've ever seen." Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. But so now she's upping my game, right? Because now she's doing all the cards. So, but the point is, when you can plug other people in where it makes sense, simply do it, because you can't. I mean, if I continue to be the chief bottle washer and all that, I'll never really scale. So that's the other thing that I understand, and I have a plan for that. So just get out there and get involved in networking events. And once you do that, you'll learn what other people are doing, and you'll be able to share from them.
I agree. I mean, I know for myself, building my business was from networking and developing a sphere of influence and constantly providing value and being compelling, coming in with that go-giver mentality,
right. Mm-hmm.
Because it always somehow comes back to you. It may not always come back from where you gave to, but it just comes back. It comes back from wherever. And
right.
As long as it serves you and your business, that's a good thing.
But that's funny that you mentioned that term, because I think a lot of us will recognize Ivan Meisner as the father of networking, and the founder of BNI and all that, and that's their mantra, right? Is givers gain, and there's a lot of people who show a lot of disdain for BNI for whatever reason. And I was in BNI. I'm not in it now because, again, they said you have to be in person. And I said, no, that doesn't work for me anymore. But what I noticed is that particular sentiment is really pervaded a lot of the other networking, at least the ones that I stay with, right? Because that's really the only way that I think you can thrive. Because if you're going to a networking event and everybody's doesn't have any money and they're all just trying to sell you, that's not going to be very fruitful for you. So you really need to find a networking event that does have that sentiment, because it's that's critical. And that's what I love about, even with our digital card owners, we have a number of different people that do the same thing. At one point we had 4 business coaches in our meeting, but they all work together. They do live events together. They pool their resources, I mean, to get more things happening. So that's really fantastic. That's really how you do it. If you can eliminate the word competition from your vocabulary and replace it with collaboration, I think that's another thing that you can really where you can be good to go.
I agree. I feel like that, collaboration is where it's at, over competition. There's more than enough out there in terms of business and what we do. It's just a matter of how do we help each other, to move each other forward and collaborate where applicable, to grow our businesses and grow our community. In this case, with the networking group that you and I belong to, NRG, that same philosophy.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. What would be some other things you'd like to share, Gabe, that you feel that, when we look at adjusting your sales as the title of today's show, and in those business owners that are listening right now, those will be listening later, that could really start looking into and help them move their businesses forward? Any other suggestions?
Well, again, it's just, I mean, if you have a problem or something that you think is devastating, you're either going to quit or you're going to figure something out, right? And I think I just wrote a social media post, something about quitting is the one thing that is the one thing that's going to prevent your breakthrough from happening, period. Right? And so, I mean, you can quit and you can say, oh, woe is me, and why is this happening? I'm going to go try something else, whatever. And sometimes, who knows, sometimes that might be the right answer based on what you're doing. If there's something that you're doing that really has never produced anything, but for the most part, that's one thing that I wanted. I have a daughter that an only daughter, Mary Margaret. We mentioned her before. She's 23 now, and through all of this, what I wanted to make sure that I showed her is that no matter how many times I get knocked off that horse, I just dust off my jacket and I get right back on it. So, that's the only way for me to live. I mean, it's the only way for me to live. And because, and I'm going to get knocked off again.
Sure, we all do.
Yeah. And so, but you just get back up, and it's how you react to it. And so I would just say that, the other thing is I think the other thing is, I would say have more confidence in if you're kind of struggling, make sure you don't lose confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's really key. I mean, I think that the best of us have issues where we're vulnerable and things go bad for us and all this other stuff. But we all try and put on this perfect front. But guess what? The person that you think is their life is perfectly in order, they're killing it and all that, they've got some stuff going on underneath, right? And so you have to realize that you have the same ability in you to do what you think that person is doing. So, it's just keep at it. Just keep at it.
I agree. It's a process, and it's how we are proactive to that process, knowing that things are going to happen. So it's not how many times we fall, it's how many times we get up. That's most important.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That resilience and that grit and resilience in your business. So important. No, I agree 100%. And, with that. And, and I think you gave some valuable insight about the resources and, developing systems, because that's so imperative. If we're going to scale our businesses, we have to be able to do that and know when to leverage our strengths and offset our weaknesses.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So what I like to, kind of like, talk about, just to kind of, for business owners that are looking to kind of really, create some more value and be more compelling to their, the audiences and the niches they serve. I know you're in the area, where you do digital business cards. What is the advantage of that, in terms of over something else and kind of projecting that value to somebody's audience?
Well, first off, for those of you who are familiar with digital business cards, forget everything you know about them, because ours are totally different. In the beginning, we have designed our cards to bring business to our clients, and other cards, a lot of them just don't really do that. That's why people come to me and said, yeah, I tried them a couple of times. I had one, then I had another one. I stopped using that. Didn't really do anything for me, because it doesn't get them business. Our card does that in a number of different ways. And so one of the things that I've always wanted to do is do things uniquely different than anybody else, stand out. If you text the word Gabe to the number 321-421-5213, you'll get my card. And what a lot of people, I see it all the time, people go, they look at it, and I'm watching them over Zoom, they go, oh, wow. I mean, and I get that more often than not. My clients get that. And that the idea for that is to make sure that whoever has a digital card like that is going to be remembered. They're going to their digital profile gets elevated. And, and it's just, it's just and it's an easy way for other people to refer you out. And then plus we capture the cell phone number. So there's layer after layer about what we do. That in my mind, I mean, I admit I'm a little bit biased, but I have email drip campaigns. I do LinkedIn. I do all this other stuff. I get far more business from my digital card than anything else. When I started using it, I built it kind of as an accident. But when I started using it, I said, wait a minute, this thing works pretty good. I'm actually getting business from it. So, and I just had a new client. I loved it. I mean, he just got on a big podcast, and he said he had 35 people text his keyword, and he's got 7 meetings coming from that, and that is payment to me. When I hear stories like that, where people are getting value from what I'm doing, that is absolutely another form of payment. And I love it. I love to hear it. So yeah, it works.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's all about, again, that we were talking about being compelling and giving value. And when you could have a platform where, everything is just in one spot, where they can tap into this information, things that are not just about you, they're about them and what's compelling to them, yet it still reflects because it's coming from you. So they're seeing
Right.
everything that you're doing. And it just makes it easier to put that into one location where they can find that information.
Right. And again, I can't stress enough the community that we have. We get them together. There's an event that we've got coming up on the 16th of June. It's called the Collaboration Forum, where 6 of them will speak for 5 minutes and then conduct a discussion where everybody chimes in. So we use everybody's experience to get more to help each other get our business, and that's what we do in our Power Hour. So there's event after event. There's and these folks, they just can't wait to help other people. They really can't. I mean, that's the thing that I'm probably most proud of, is the community that we have kind of engendered through our digital cards.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it does do that, and makes it so much easier to, so people don't lose a card. They have that right in their phones and have access to it at any given moment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you, Gabe, for, taking time to be here today to share with us some valuable insights on, adjusting your sales, and I'm glad that, we had an opportunity to learn more about your digital business cards as well on the back end. I would love to have the audience get to know you a little bit more, and, how could they, get and reach out to you? Where is the best places to connect with you, and so on? And just definitely, if there's anything you'd like to offer the audience, you're more than welcome to.
Well, again, just text the word Gabe to 321-421-5213. My digital card has got all my contact information. You want to follow me on LinkedIn, you want to call me, you want to text me, you want to email me, however you want to interact with me, it's all right there. Or if you even want to get on my schedule. And if you haven't figured this out yet, I love talking about this stuff. So it's not it's not necessarily just a sales pitch that I will give you, but it's just kind of, if I can help people when they, that's the first thing I'm trying to do when they get on my calendar is, okay, how can I help this person? So, so just do that. It's just, it's just, this is another part of the fun of what I do, is I get to meet all of my clients. I get to spend some time with them, and I meet a lot of other people too. So
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you again, Gabe, for being here. And thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. And again, we highly encourage you to get in touch with Gabe. Again, text him at 321-421-5213. Again, I know I know Gabe, he walks the talk, and I definitely would reach out, get to know him, and to see if, again, if you're looking to scale your business, to adjust your sales, this is someone that can be a valuable resource for you. Listeners, we want to thank you each and every week for joining us here. We are committed again to bringing in guests like Gabe to share their knowledge and insights, helping you wherever you are in your business journey to get to the next level. Influencing is all about empowering people to draw their own conclusions, so that when they make a commitment to do their part, they're going to have better results, better experiences, and that leads to referrals. And we are so committed to that here at Business Influencers, that we are going to be bringing back, more topics that are relevant to help move you and your business forward. We want to thank you again for being here, and have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you next week.